From his $48 million Miami mansion to hell on earth where chaos reigns. Just some of the words used to describe the Metropolitan Detention Center where Sean Diddy Combs.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence.
Sean P. Diddy Combs is now entering his fifth week in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. This stark reality contrasts sharply with his former extravagant lifestyle, complete with mansions worth $48 million in Miami and Los Angeles. The Metropolitan Detention Center has been described as a hellish place, notorious for violence and overcrowding. The stakes are high for Diddy, especially with threats from old adversaries like Suge Knight hanging over him. Diddy was reportedly not eating in jail out of fear of being poisoned, but things have changed. Will Diddy can navigate this dangerous environment, or if the forces trying to silence him will succeed? Stay tuned as we dive into the latest updates on Diddy's life behind bars. Sean Diddy Combs, still behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, is preparing for a third attempt at securing his release, this time appealing to Judge Subramanian. His legal team is vocal about the perilous conditions at the jail, which is notorious for its dangerous environment and severe overcrowding. Diddy's attorney, Mark Nefo, has highlighted a range of critical issues plaguing the facility, including rampant violence and inadequate staffing. Nefo shared some alarming statistics that underscore the severity of the situation. Since June, 2 inmates have been murdered at the MDC, and in the last 3 years, at least 4 inmates have tragically taken their own lives. Furthermore, 6 staff members have faced criminal charges over the past 5 years, raising concerns about the overall safety and management of the facility. When Diddy was first arrested, he was placed on suicide watch, a precautionary measure implemented by the Department of Justice's National Institute of Corrections, which requires regular observation of inmates deemed suicidal. Although Diddy has since been removed from suicide watch, he continues to reside in a protective care unit, notably sharing the space with Sam Bankman-Fried. Bankman-Fried, who was convicted of fraud and money laundering in November following the collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, is also being housed in this specialized section of the MDC. This unit is reserved for inmates needing additional protection, which includes high-profile individuals like Diddy, as well as those cooperating with ongoing investigations in open cases. To take a deeper dive into Diddy's life behind bars, it's essential to delve into the grim reality of his new home. The MDC is frequently described as rundown and horrifying, starkly contrasting the luxurious Miami and Los Angeles mansions he once inhabited. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, opened by the Bureau of Prisons in the early 1990s, has gained a reputation for its brutal conditions and rampant violence. Originally intended as a federal jail for individuals awaiting trial or serving short sentences, the facility currently houses about 1,200 detainees, a decrease from over 1,600 earlier this year. Situated on the Brooklyn waterfront, the MDC offers some amenities, including outdoor recreation spaces, medical and dental units, and a wing dedicated to educational programs and a library. However, detainees often report serious problems, such as violence, inadequate staffing, and the smuggling of contraband, issues that sometimes involve prison employees. Lockdowns are a frequent occurrence, leading to restrictions on visits, phone calls, showers, and exercise for the detainees. Recent events have underscored the ongoing crisis within the facility, including multiple fatalities. For instance, in June, an inmate awaiting trial on gun charges was fatally stabbed at the MDC, bringing attention to the violence that permeates the facility. Just a month later, Edwin Cordo lost his life during a fight inside the prison. Cordo's lawyer described the MDC as hell on earth, highlighting its overcrowding, understaffing, and neglect. MDC Brooklyn came under intense scrutiny following a severe power outage in January 2019 that left the prison without light or heat for a week. During this harsh northeast winter, inmates were exposed to freezing temperatures and reportedly confined to their cells for days without functioning toilets. This situation raised serious concerns about the facility's ability to handle emergencies. In response, the Justice Department initiated an investigation to assess whether the Bureau of Prisons had adequate contingency plans for such crises. A lawsuit filed on behalf of the inmates revealed even more alarming details about the unsanitary and unsafe conditions they faced during the outage. Last summer, the Bureau of Prisons reached a settlement, agreeing to pay approximately $10 million to 1,600 inmates at MDC Brooklyn for the freezing and inhumane conditions they experienced during the power failure in 2019. The problems at MDC Brooklyn go well beyond the power outage incident. Over the past 5 years, at least 6 staff members have faced criminal charges for serious offenses, including accepting bribes and smuggling contraband like drugs, cigarettes, and cell phones into the facility. The jail has also drawn criticism for its handling of infrastructure failures and the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2019 power outage left inmates shivering in the cold, leading to unrest and raising alarms among federal watchdogs. In March 2020, MDC Brooklyn housed the first federal inmate to test positive for COVID-19. By November of that year, court documents indicated that the facility was operating with only 55% of its staffing, putting additional strain on employees and worsening security issues. As conditions at MDC Brooklyn continue to draw condemnation, judges and advocates have increasingly criticized the Bureau of Prisons for its dangerous and inhumane practices. In response to the facility's notorious reputation, some judges have started to reduce sentences or even refrain from sending defendants there altogether. In January, U.S. District Judge Furman decided to allow Gustavo Chavez, who had been convicted of drug crimes, to stay out on bail rather than be sent to MDC Brooklyn before his sentencing. He described the jail's conditions as unacceptable. Judge Furman pointed out that even prosecutors had stopped disputing the facility's issues. Similarly, in August, U.S. District Judge Gary Brown indicated he would overturn a tax fraud sentence if it meant the defendant would be sent to MDC, suggesting home confinement instead. In light of the ongoing concerns about the conditions at MDC Brooklyn, the Bureau of Prisons announced it would temporarily halt the transfer of convicted individuals to the facility for their sentences. As of Tuesday, 43 people were serving their time in a minimum security unit at the jail. A spokesperson for the Bureau emphasized their commitment to inmate safety, stating that safety protocols are regularly reviewed and that corrective actions are taken when necessary. Earlier this year, the Bureau of Prisons established an urgent action team to tackle the numerous issues plaguing MDC Brooklyn. Despite these efforts, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, argued in court that the facility's harsh environment would hinder his client's ability to prepare for trial effectively. Originally built in the 1990s to ease overcrowding in New York City's prisons, the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, primarily houses inmates awaiting trial for Brooklyn and Manhattan federal courts. Michael Cohen, a former inmate at MDC, recently shared insights into the tough conditions Diddy is enduring there. He described the living quarters as cramped and uncomfortable, revealing that Diddy wakes up on a steel bed with a thin mattress and no pillow in a tiny 8-by-1-foot cell. Cohen, who was incarcerated there in 2020, noted that inmates in the special housing unit where Diddy is currently held only have a 3-by-5-foot area to move around. He added that in the early days, prisoners often lacked access to books or other comforts, making the initial experience especially challenging for Diddy. The Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan was shut down in 2021 after a series of alarming incidents, particularly following Jeffrey Epstein's death in 2019. The facility had developed a notorious reputation for poor security, severe staffing shortages, and unsafe, deteriorating conditions, including crumbling concrete and freezing temperatures. After its closure, detainees were moved to MDC Brooklyn or Otisville Prison. Diddy Combs' legal team has contested his pre-trial detention at MDC Brooklyn, highlighting the facility's hazardous conditions and the recent deaths of inmates. Judges and advocates have echoed these concerns, with some even opting not to send defendants there due to the ongoing issues at the prison. In light of these safety worries, particularly considering Epstein's case, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams acknowledged the importance of ensuring safety for all detainees awaiting trial. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has voiced specific concerns about his client's confinement in the Special Housing Unit, SHU, at MDC Brooklyn. While this unit provides enhanced security, it also presents challenges for trial preparation due to its restrictive environment. Agnifilo requested a transfer to a New Jersey jail, but the judge decided to leave that decision in the hands of the Bureau of Prisons. An ongoing investigation by the Associated Press has shed light on significant issues within the Bureau of Prisons, revealing serious problems like inmate escapes, chronic violence, deaths, and critical staffing shortages that impede emergency responses. These issues have manifested in various incidents, including inmate assaults and the failure to reform troubled facilities. For instance, in April, the Bureau closed a notorious women's prison in Dublin, California, known as the Rape Club, following shocking revelations of staff sexual abuse. This investigation has prompted legislative changes, with President Joe Biden signing a law in July aimed at strengthening oversight of the Bureau of Prisons. As reports about Sean Diddy Combs continue to emerge, they paint a concerning picture of his current situation behind bars. Insiders indicate that Diddy has faced threats from an unidentified inmate, raising serious fears for his safety. Conditions in the facility have been described by NBC as hell, highlighting that what Diddy is experiencing goes far beyond typical celebrity troubles. His arrest has unveiled a complex web of alleged criminal activity, potentially exposing secrets deeply embedded within the upper echelons of the entertainment industry. This backdrop raises several questions. Who wants Diddy silenced? It's thought that the potential impact of his testimony could reveal vulnerabilities many would rather keep under wraps. Prison insiders have painted a grim picture of Sean Diddy Combs' current life at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, describing it as an extremely dangerous environment marked by overcrowding, violence, and appalling living conditions. This stark reality is a far cry from the luxury he once enjoyed. Given Diddy's high-profile status, his time in such a notorious facility always came with inherent risks. Sharing the space with infamous inmates like drug kingpin Ghislaine Maxwell only heightens the precariousness of his situation. There are several reasons believed to have contributed to threats on his life. First and foremost, individuals convicted of sexual offenses, particularly those involving underage victims or women, often face significant stigma and hostility from fellow inmates. This treatment can be severe and sometimes violent, as the prison culture generally holds a deep disdain for sex offenders. Sex offenders are often placed at the bottom of the prison hierarchy. Those convicted of sexual abuse frequently become targets for harassment, violence, and abuse from other inmates. This targeting is partly due to the nature of their offenses, which many inmates, and society as a whole, view as particularly heinous. As a result, sex offenders may find themselves ostracized or physically attacked, leading some to seek protective custody to avoid harm. In high-security facilities, the risks become even more pronounced. Sex offenders often endure brutal treatment from other inmates, who may view them as unmanly or cowardly for their perceived inability to defend themselves against accusations of sexual violence. This perception can result in physical assaults and emotional abuse, further complicating an already precarious situation. For many, The repercussions of their offenses extend well beyond legal penalties, significantly impacting their safety and well-being within the prison system. That's not all. With rumors swirling about his connections to the criminal underworld, Diddy finds himself in a nightmare scenario. It's believed that someone with deep ties to organized crime may have sent him a clear message to stay silent. The motivation behind this intimidation is simple. Diddy has been a major player in the industry for decades, gathering dirt on some of the most powerful and influential figures in music and beyond. These aren't just minor players. They are individuals with strong motives to keep their secrets buried. As the drama unfolds, the stakes for Diddy continue to rise. If he decides to start talking, the repercussions could be catastrophic. The charges against him are serious, involving allegations of trafficking and racketeering. His arrest wasn't a sudden decision. It followed months, if not years, of investigation by federal authorities who seem to have built a strong case against him. Reports suggest that the evidence stems from 2 raids on his homes in Miami and Los Angeles. The indictment outlines various items seized during these searches, including videos he allegedly created of sexual performances he referred to as freak-offs. Diddy's arrest wasn't a low-key affair. Reports indicate that he was cooperative and even seemed to anticipate the charges, having moved to New York ahead of his arrest. This suggests he might have had some forewarning about his looming legal troubles, perhaps thinking he could manage the situation. However, things have clearly spiraled beyond his control, raising questions about the potential fallout if he decides to reveal what he knows. The stakes are high not just for Diddy, but for many others in the industry connected to him. The idea that someone could reach Diddy while he's in prison starts to feel more plausible. It's not just about the poor conditions. The prison's reputation for allowing incidents to happen behind closed doors, along with severe understaffing, operating at about half of its necessary personnel, creates a risky environment. U.S. District Judge Robin Tarnavsky highlighted these risks when she denied Diddy's bail, pointing to his violent past, connections, and significant wealth as reasons he posed a serious flight risk and danger to the community. The judge's decision reflects concerns that Diddy might try to obstruct justice or intimidate witnesses. For high-profile inmates like him, the stakes are even higher, especially given his history of enemies and former associates. Given the latest developments, Diddy's situation looks increasingly precarious. Concerns about his circumstances seem to have been well-founded. Whether he meant to cooperate with the authorities or not, his extensive connections with powerful figures in the industry and their possible illegal activities could lead to some significant secrets coming to light. Diddy's arrest came after a lengthy federal investigation that included issuing hundreds of subpoenas, executing numerous search warrants, and gathering an overwhelming amount of digital evidence. Federal prosecutors have revealed that they're dealing with dozens of terabytes of data, suggesting that this case goes well beyond just Diddy. It involves a larger network of people and operations. Prosecutors claim that Diddy's business empire served as a cover for criminal enterprises marked by a pattern of abuse, exploitation, and intimidation. A major turning point in this investigation was the lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend Cassie in late 2023. In her lawsuit, Cassie described years of physical and emotional abuse. Although the case was settled privately, the allegations against Diddy intensified afterward, drawing more scrutiny to his actions and connections in the industry. As the investigation continues, the fallout could reach beyond Diddy, potentially implicating others in his circle. Even more concerning are the rumors of hidden cameras at Diddy's infamous parties, where high-profile figures in the entertainment industry were allegedly recorded engaging in compromising activities. If these tapes exist, they could shed light on why many powerful individuals might want Diddy silenced. The information contained in those recordings could reveal the serious dangers he now faces. Diddy has always been known for pushing boundaries and embracing a lifestyle of excess. His extravagant homes in Los Angeles and Miami and lavish parties on Star Island have become the stuff of legends. Throughout his career, he's faced ongoing rumors about questionable financial practices, violent outbursts, and secret relationships. Now, it seems all of this may be catching up with him. Diddy's federal indictment highlights just how serious these allegations are. Prosecutors argue that he used his power to create a network of individuals who weren't just passive participants, but actively helped him maintain control over his empire. As the legal battles unfold, the consequences of his past actions could reveal a much darker side of the entertainment industry, drawing in others who have operated in the shadows for far too long. As the potential for explosive revelations grows, Diddy faces not only legal battles, but also life-threatening risks from those who worry about what he might reveal. The events leading up to his arrest unfolded over several months. Earlier this year, federal authorities raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, seizing electronics, incriminating documents, and firearms, including 3 AR-15 rifles with defaced serial numbers. This escalation adds another serious layer to the charges against him. Diddy isn't just another celebrity caught in a scandal. He finds himself at the center of an investigation that could shake the entire entertainment industry. The lingering question remains: how far will people go to keep him quiet? As we continue to follow this developing story, it's becoming clear that Diddy's situation is far more dangerous than anyone first thought. A prison threat against him, while shocking, might only scratch the surface of a much more complicated scenario. His involvement in numerous controversial moments in entertainment history, along with his alleged knowledge of damaging secrets, has made him a prime target. Diddy has been a key player in the industry for decades, rubbing elbows with some of the most influential figures around. But with that kind of power comes a fair share of enemies. Over the years, he's been associated with some questionable characters, walking a fine line between fame and infamy. This precarious position only adds to the mystery of the threats he faces. As more information comes to light, the unsettling reality of Diddy's situation raises concerns about who might be willing to go to great lengths to silence him. The stakes have never been higher, and the scrutiny on him is more intense than ever. Many believe that Diddy didn't just rely on his business savvy or talent to reach the top. He allegedly had a more sinister asset at his disposal: information. His rise in the music industry has long been shadowed by speculation about how he maintained his influence. Whispers suggest he holds secrets about those close to him, secrets that, if exposed, could ruin entire careers. For years, there have been whispers that Diddy secretly recorded everything at his legendary parties. Lavish gatherings filled with celebrities, top executives, and even political figures. Known for their extravagance and unpredictability, these events created an atmosphere where anything could happen. Allegedly, hidden cameras placed throughout his properties captured every wild moment without the guests ever knowing. Just think about the leverage Diddy could have accumulated over the years. The potential fallout from those recordings could be disastrous, not only for those involved, but also for their businesses, marriages, and families. If these secrets were to come to light, it could flip the script for many powerful figures and position Diddy as a major player in a game where information is the ultimate currency. There's a rumor that Diddy used footage from his parties as leverage to maintain his power, ensuring that as long as he had dirt on everyone, no one would dare turn against him. The theory suggests that Diddy's empire was built not just on music, but on manipulation and blackmail. Whether there's any truth to these claims is still uncertain, but they've lingered for years. Now that Diddy is behind bars, anxiety is rising that all that incriminating evidence could end up in the hands of authorities. This possibility has many people on edge. If Diddy chooses to cooperate and starts sharing what he knows, the fallout could be massive. We're talking about high-profile names being dragged into the spotlight, careers ruined, and reputations shattered. For those who have a history with Diddy, the stakes couldn't be higher. It's easy to understand why some individuals might feel desperate to keep him quiet at all costs. This situation isn't just about protecting their reputations. It's about survival in a cutthroat industry where one misstep can lead to disaster. The tension surrounding Diddy's case highlights just how fragile alliances can be in the world of fame and fortune. Diddy has long been at the center of controversy, often linked to some of the most notorious incidents in hip-hop history. His name has repeatedly come up in connection with violent altercations, leading many to speculate about his true involvement. One of the most persistent scandals is the unsolved murder of his close friend and collaborator, the notorious B.I.G. Many believe that Diddy knows more about the circumstances surrounding Biggie's death than he has ever revealed, with some even suggesting he played a part in the infamous East Coast versus West Coast feud that ultimately led to Biggie's tragic demise. While none of these allegations have been proven, Diddy's ability to stay above the fray has left people wondering just how deep his involvement might really be. One particularly notable incident occurred in 1999 when a nightclub altercation escalated into a gunfight, injuring several people. Diddy, who was present at the scene, managed to avoid serious legal consequences, which only enhanced his reputation for having dangerous connections. His knack for sidestepping major repercussions has fueled speculation that he has powerful allies protecting him, or maybe that he's the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Diddy's ties to violence go far beyond mere speculation. Throughout his career, he has faced numerous legal battles and accusations of assault. The dangers of living this lifestyle are evident. It inevitably creates enemies, and Diddy has certainly made his share. While he has navigated these challenges until now, his current incarceration has changed the game. Those he once threatened or manipulated may see this as their opportunity for retaliation. It's entirely possible that the recent threat against him was orchestrated by someone looking to settle a score from the past. Diddy's legal troubles show no signs of slowing down. If he is found guilty of the serious racketeering conspiracy charges and other offenses, he could be facing a life sentence. The federal government seems to have a strong case against him and is likely eager to work with anyone willing to provide information. If Diddy chooses to cooperate, the fallout could be disastrous for many of his associates. His involvement in criminal activities suggests a much larger network of individuals who may have been complicit. For years, there have been whispers about shady deals, backdoor agreements, and unethical practices involving some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry. If Diddy has information that could expose any of these figures, it's clear why there are powerful individuals who would want to keep him silent. The stakes are particularly high considering the entertainment executives rumored to have close ties with Diddy. The downfall of just one prominent figure could set off a domino effect, bringing many others down with them. Diddy's situation is still very much in flux. He's not just up against legal challenges, but also personal vendettas and potentially life-threatening threats from those who want to silence him. The big question now is whether he can hold on long enough to share his side of the story, or if the forces working against him will succeed in keeping him quiet. Let's dive into Diddy's current predicament, where the stakes couldn't be higher. His bail has been denied not once, but twice, leaving him behind bars for 4 to 5 weeks, a stark contrast to the life of luxury and privilege he's known. As the courtroom drama unfolds, 2 judges voiced their concerns about Diddy's substantial resources. With access to private jets and a vast network, they worried that he could easily flee. It's a valid concern. After all, no judge wants to read tomorrow's headlines about a celebrity who made a daring escape after being granted bail. But as the conversation swirled, a thought lingered in the air. Why couldn't they craft a unique solution for someone like Diddy? There have been times when wealthy clients found creative ways to navigate similar situations, often using ankle monitors to stay out of jail while awaiting trial. Couldn't Diddy have a tailored arrangement too? After all, Housing a high-profile inmate is costly for taxpayers, and placing him in the general population isn't safe. He would draw attention and could easily become a target. In many ways, it seemed the judges were treating him like anyone else, though his wealth should have afforded him some consideration. It's a challenging position for the judges to be in, a no-win situation where they must balance caution with fairness. If something were to go wrong, the blame would inevitably fall on them. As Diddy navigates the storm of legal troubles, his defense team has put forth a bold bail package. They proposed a $50 million bond, complete with a GPS monitor to track his whereabouts and restrictions on visits, specifically limiting contact with women. Despite this elaborate offer, it faced rejection not once, but twice. However, a glimmer of hope appears on the horizon. A new judge has taken over the case. Could this judge be the one to finally approve the bail? While it's a possibility, the stakes are higher now. The previous judge deemed him a flight risk, and the new judge faces scrutiny if anything goes wrong should Diddy be released. Diddy's wealth complicates the matter further. The hefty bond amount signifies his financial clout, but it raises questions about his intentions. After all, if he feared a long prison sentence, he might simply skip town. The money, in this case, is secondary. The real concern is whether the court can be assured he won't vanish. Meanwhile, Diddy is currently held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a facility known for its poor conditions. If bail is denied, his lawyers may argue for a transfer to a different facility. Yet, making that case could backfire, suggesting he deserves special treatment, which might not sit well with the court. As for Diddy's safety, the notion of moving him to the general population is out of the question. Inmates with nothing to lose could pose a serious risk, and no judge or prosecutor wants to be responsible for his safety. The fear of a lawsuit looms large if something goes wrong, making it clear why he remains in protective custody. Throughout his career, Diddy has expertly navigated the balance between power and vulnerability, using his influence, connections, and a rumored stash of secrets to maintain his top position. However, for the first time, he seems to be losing that control. It's unclear if he can find a way out of this mess. But one thing is certain. Whatever happens next will undoubtedly leave a lasting mark on the entertainment industry. The world is watching closely to see if Diddy will come out of this crisis unscathed, or if his secrets will be lost forever. Is this the start of Diddy's downfall? Are there people genuinely trying to discredit him for their own benefit? Or is this just another chapter in the tumultuous, unpredictable life of one of music history's most controversial figures? As the drama unfolds, the answers to these questions could change the landscape of the industry for years to come. What do you think the future holds for Diddy? Will he rise from the ashes, or is this the beginning of the end for him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content and want to stay updated on this evolving story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insights and analysis.